The best of Money Matters. Right Business.
Welcome to The Right Business, where we dive deep into the stories of trailblazers who dare to disrupt the status quo, find the gap in the market to find the right business. Hello, I'm Hongbin Jeong. When we think of PR agencies, the image that often comes to mind is one of media coverage, press releases, and polishing a company's image. Most agencies focus on getting the clients noticed, securing headlines, and managing reputations. But Third Hemisphere takes a different approach. They are a founder-led agency built for positive impact, helping companies not just appear in the conversation, but actually lead it. With a team that brings together expertise from media, politics, venture capital, and more, Third Hemisphere helps clients shape industries, engage investors, partners, and talent. They help create measurable commercial outcomes, all while driving meaningful change. And to share how they're helping companies lead the conversation and create real impact, joining us today is Hannah Moreno, founder and CEO of Third Hemisphere. Hi, Hannah. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on Money FM. It's a real privilege to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're very honored to have you on. Well, Hannah, I want to talk more about Third Hemisphere. It looks like you started it in Sydney and now you've expanded to Singapore. What made you decide that Singapore was the right next step for the business?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I founded Third Hemisphere 10 years ago in Sydney, and we've actually just recently expanded into Singapore. But actually, our managing director and my husband, Jeremy Little, has actually been doing business in Singapore and the broader APAC region for over a decade now. So on top of loving your food, I must say, we both as a couple and as business partners have actually had a real affinity with the region. But really the bigger picture is that we work with a large number of born global brands and they're solving worldwide problems. So it didn't really make sense to help them achieve brand awareness and credibility in Australia alone. Mm-hmm. So Singapore really serves as a gateway to Southeast Asia and its rapidly growing technology and innovation ecosystem. So lots of our clients are headquartered in Singapore and might want to expand into Australia or vice versa. And to service this demand, we've brought in a local Singaporean called Heiko for him, who is the person responsible for building the Southeast Asian arm of one of APAC's largest media intelligence companies, Telemedia. So we've really got a nice presence there in Singapore right now.
Okay. So when you looked at the PR landscape in Singapore, what did you feel was missing that you wanted to bring to the table as well?
Yeah, so we obviously spoke a lot with Heiko about this and his experience in the media landscape. And what we realized is that Singapore actually has incredible innovation, in complex fields like biotech, fintech, advanced manufacturing. But what we observe is that many agencies in Singapore might struggle a little bit to translate these highly technical concepts into compelling stories for mainstream media. It can be quite a difficult kind of concept and unless you're a specialist agency. And science, deep tech and financial services communications are actually our specialty. So that was the first thing. The second thing we noticed was that there were an increasing number of Singaporean businesses who were really looking for authentic values-driven positioning. And that's another area where we specialize quite a bit. And then our final observation was that in-house communications teams were actually getting a lot leaner. They needed to look at PR and marketing together. They couldn't hire one PR company and then a separate marketing company. So Third Hemisphere brings a really integrated approach so that we combine Tier 1 media relations with targeted marketing, digital communications, and also public affairs, all under the one roof.
Okay, well, when you founded Third Hemisphere, you positioned it as a PR agency for positive impact. Well, Hannah, what do you mean by positive impact? Because in some ways, PR is always about, showing the best side of a client. So how is your approach different?
Yeah, so that's definitely a perception of PR. It's funny that PR itself has a bit of a PR problem. However, contrary to stereotypes, PR shouldn't actually just be about exaggerating the positive side of clients or covering up the negative if you're doing it right. Really, you should be seeking to align your clients' operations and communications with the needs and values of the society that they evolve within. But when you talk about positive impact, it's actually taking it a step further. So that's about working with clients who are striving to achieve positive social and environmental outcomes alongside financial returns. So we personally choose to work with innovators and change makers who are using science and innovation to solve global problems like climate change, an aging population, food sovereignty, things like that. We also work with social justice advocates who are speaking out on behalf of vulnerable groups and helping to create equity and access. So it's very values-driven in terms of who we work with. But then we take it one step further. And unlike traditional PR agencies who often take quite a neutral approach, we also actually follow our own advice to clients in terms of wearing our own values on our sleeves. And how we do that, how we advise our clients is, we suggest you have to determine your own set of values, who you stand for, what you stand for, who you are as a person. Figure out how to articulate these values in a really intelligent, evidence-backed manner. And then you need to speak them loudly and proudly. And when you do that, you may alienate some people, but you'll also attract others. And in both situations, it's kind of the right situation. And that's quite unique for a PR agency, I think.
Right. Well, speaking of unique here, your team has brought together people from media, politics, venture capital, and even TV production, which is not the traditional profile of a PR agency at all. Why was it important to bring that diversity of backgrounds together under one roof, Hannah?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is, again, another way that we're quite different to the typical PR agency. And the way that I see it, the thing about PR is that there needs to be a purpose for why you're speaking in media. So we don't think that media for media's sake is very valuable or a good use of anyone's time. So in the case of our clients, for instance, many of them are fast-scaling technology or financial services companies that need to create the confidence of capital markets. So this is where a seasoned investor and venture capitalist business builder, like our managing director, Jeremy Little, comes in handy. So he will look at the media release, or it might be a pitch or whatever the piece of collateral might be, and he looks at it from the lens of an investor and thinks what is going to compel someone to believe in this company enough to pull out their wallets and actually invest. Other clients are trying to influence government policy via the media. So we've got a team with political advocacy experience. So they look at it from a government policy lens and think, how is what we're saying going to make government people interested in speaking with us, but also, like us? You want them to come and talk to you because they know that they need to talk to you,
right.
But you don't want to push them away either.
Definitely.
But then obviously, we're trying to appeal to the media like you. So we have former journalists and broadcast and online journalists. And then, you mentioned the TV producers. It's becoming increasingly important for clients to actually create their own channels. And, we certainly don't have the credibility and the big reach of a show like what I'm on now. But it's still really great to be able to produce your own content and, say, produce a video and put that on LinkedIn. So all of these different skills and experience levels, they all contribute to a really well-rounded, holistic approach to media relations.
Right. Well, then how does having this diversity give your clients an edge when it comes to, telling their stories?
Well, I think it comes back to the word that I just said in terms of diversity of channels. So every single client, they come to us and they want to be in, so for instance, in Singapore, everyone wants to be in the Business Times or the Straits Times. In Australia, everyone wants to be in the Australian Financial Review. And those publications are really important. But then, for instance, a publication, or it's not even just a publication. So obviously, you as a host on Singapore's first and only business and personal finance station, you would know better than anyone yourself that you had to have a really great audience for a certain thing. So you've got one certain audience that is really, really interested in what people have to say on your channel, and you're not going to reach them, say, in the Business Times necessarily. We need to have a real diversity of kind of conversations that can appeal to multiple channels. And so, for example, Hongbin, I noticed that you don't have a bachelor's degree in journalism. Mm-hmm. You have a bachelor's degree in political science and international relations.
Yes, I do.
I think that would bring something really different to the way that you interview your guests. Right. I just see that diversity in background to be something that brings something a bit more interesting to the storytelling.
Oh, wow. Looks like, Hannah, I did some research on you and you did some research on me.
Well, you've got to do the research before you do any of these things.
Definitely. Well, Hannah, you often talk about helping companies not just secure coverage, but actually lead conversations, globally and become category leaders. So what does that journey look like for our client? What kinds of commercial outcomes have you seen when a company successfully makes that leap?
Yeah, and you've used the right word there, journey, because it is a journey. So every client we work with is so wonderful at the thing that they do. And some of them are good communicators too, but some either might not be very natural communicators, or some might just not enjoy it and may not, maybe grudgingly kind of joining this silly little PR experience that they find. They know it's important. But what we do is we begin with a really intensive media training session where we help them to frame what they're doing in the position of, what's the problem they're solving? What was the innovation? How is their innovation solving that problem? And what could be the impact on the world if they actually do that? And once they're able to frame it in that way, that's kind of a really understandable way, whether it's a journalist or, your grandma or the person you're sitting next to on the metro, everyone can kind of understand that framework. And then what we do, we typically launch them into media with a kind of a big bang announcement to really create that credibility firsthand. And once they're in media and known to media, that's when we can really, really get the momentum going by creating thought leadership through commentary, through first-person editorials. And we've had quite a bit of success with that. For instance, in Australia, one of our clients who we've written many, many editorials for is now actually an official columnist in the Australian Financial Review. And so that comes with a great deal of credibility. And what we've heard, once our clients do begin to create that category leadership and step up and be the voice of their industry, they report having investors reaching out to them to invest in their next funding round, that they're not having to go to investors. Investors are coming to them, or they're having major companies reaching out wanting to partner with them and hear more about something that they might have read about in the paper, or, inbound customer leads, or even we've had people's websites crash when, really major stories have come up. So it's really, really satisfying hearing that the work that we're doing is having these actual tangible commercial impacts for our clients.
Well, not only that, you're being recognized as well. Third Hemisphere has been recognized with awards like Mumbrella's Boutique Agency of the Year, and you yourself have been honored as Technology Woman of the Year and PR Professional of the Year. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
But Hannah, what do those recognitions mean to you personally and your team, and what do they say about the type of agency you've built and the impact you want to have?
So it's an interesting one, these ones. So the year that we won Mumbrella's Boutique Agency of the Year was actually the same year I also won PR Professional of the Year. It was the first time we sort of really decided to go for these awards, and then we had such a great year as well. But another thing that I did that year that was unique and was actually the thing I did sitting down writing those applications was I decided to wear my feminism on my sleeve professionally.
Okay. What does that mean?
Earlier, so what that means, I spoke earlier about, you wear your values on your sleeve and it could either work really well or it might turn people away from you. I kind of thought I'm going to be really honest about my feminist values in these applications, and it might mean they either read it and rip it up and throw it in the bin, or it might really appeal to them. And obviously, to win the awards, I did need to have, Third Hemisphere had to perform really well that year as well from a financial perspective. But I think what really, really appealed, actually, I know what really appealed was the feminism because I was told that by the judges. They said it was such a values-driven application that was really about, your feminism, your feminist leadership that really stood out and set you above the others who also performed well. And so that it kind of gave me that lesson where when you take a value-centric approach, it really does make you stand out above the crowd.
And you're the perfect person to sell yourself as well because you are from the PR agency in that aspect. Yeah. Well, looking at the industry more broadly here, Hannah, the PR landscape is changing quickly with tech, shifting markets and new expectations from audiences. So what trends do you see right now that you think will really reshape PR in the future, and how are you positioning yourself to stay at the forefront of those changes?
Yes, there are three main trends that I see at the moment. You'd be absolutely blind not to be seeing the fact that we're in the midst of an AI-powered communications revolution. So we're no longer just talking to humans, we're also talking to the robots. So what we've had to do is we've had to extend our digital marketing campaigns. It's no longer just SEO, which is search engine optimization. It's also AIO, artificial intelligence optimization, and GEO, generative engine optimization. So yes, ChatGPT can help you quickly write a media release. I'll tell you as a professional writer, what ChatGPT writes is at the level of an intern. So please do not trust ChatGPT. Another hint I'll give you is that ChatGPT in the hands of a regular person versus a writer is like a calculator, in the hands of a mathematician versus me.
Oh,
I can hold a
good
calculator.
Yep.
Yeah, and anyone can use a calculator and can do a few things on it, but a mathematician can create magic. A professional writer with generative AI is going to do some really seriously cool things that a regular person can't. But when it comes to comms, you also need to be shaping your comms to be speaking to the robots. That's the first trend. The second trend, just quickly, is the media landscape was already fragmenting at a rapid rate before AI, but now it's fragmenting at a much faster speed. So previously, you wake up in the morning papers on your front lawn, and then at 6 p.m. you turn on the nightly news, and that's it. Now we not only have the 24-hour news channel, but we've also got multiple sources like social media, consumer influencers on TikTok, podcasts, corporate newsrooms, and more. So we really need our clients to be creating their own news and also engaging across all of these channels. And then the third and final trend is that we're seeing a real challenge to the credibility of news media. Care of phrases like fake news, misinformation, disinformation. And so I see it as being more important than ever before for people in our industry, both your industry and mine, so media and public relations, to really hold ourselves accountable and committed to authentic media engagement based in honesty and truthfulness in order to counter that.
Definitely. Some trends that we all will be looking out for as well. Well, Hannah, before we let you go here, what's next on the horizon for Third Hemisphere? What should we be watching out for?
So as we celebrate our 10th anniversary this year, we'll definitely be continuing our current growth trajectory. I hope we're able to work with many, many more clients in Singapore, as we love the region, and also further across Southeast Asia. We're also increasingly growing our independent contractor network in global markets in the US and the UK, Dubai, Japan, Europe. So that is one thing that we're doing in terms of growth. And then the other thing that we're doing, we're also in the process of building out quite a truly unique AI-powered media distribution crisis comms tool that we hope will help to combat some of this misinformation. That project, unfortunately, is still confidential at the moment, so I'll have to keep that one under wraps for now. But maybe that's something I can tell you about in the future once I'm able to speak about it a bit more publicly.
All right. Looks like we're going to get you back on in the future. Thank you so much, Hannah, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. That was Hannah Moreno, founder and CEO of Third Hemisphere. This has been The Right Business with me, Hongbin Jeong.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.